I'm Mike from Essence, part of GroupM, and I'm up here with Field today, and we're talking about the power of context data in the advanced TV ad market.
Thanks, Mike. Field Garthwaite, co-founder, CEO of Iris TV, and yeah, talking about transparency, we've been speaking about measurement a lot, and core to measurement is content transparency. It is the other side of the coin for everything when we look at identity data, for example. But when it comes to performance, making sure ad creative performs, making sure that we actually reach unduplicated, have unduplicated reach and frequency, you need to understand what it is that you're reaching. And in every campaign that we see leverage this data, it actually drives higher performance, which is obvious, right? When you actually know what the consumer's watching and match content and ad creative, it performs better. But the problem has really been scale. So at Iris TV, what we do is we turn TV shows, videos, movies, fast channels into video level data so that you can actually reach and target at the ad pod level. And we connect thousands of publishers, CTV channels, apps with all of the leading data companies in targeting and verification around brand safety and context. So excited to talk with you today, Mike.
Yeah, and everybody in this room knows best that a lot's changed in the last 18 months in terms of how people are watching TV, how people are engaging with premium, ad-supported, and in some cases non-ad-supported television content in the living room. And as we're starting to see more opportunities arising in connected TV, we're facing a world where we need the digital side of it to look more like traditional TV, and we need the traditional TV side to look more like digital, which means that different dollars and different tranches of budgets are going to have different approaches to the space. And context is such an important thing in linear TV. You have clients who have for years been curating whitelists, who have been buying shows. Everybody in this room knows that a lot of clients sometimes even look to see scripts of shows because they want to make sure it's brand safe. And until recently, there hasn't really been a push in connected TV to align that type of thinking with the ecosystem. And I've had the pleasure of working with Iris to do some of that. So Field, talk to me a little bit around, from a contextual standpoint, what's the value that Iris and contextual is bringing to the converged TV ecosystem?
So we've heard a lot about identity and identifiers tied to individuals, right? And kind of we all know how that works. You tie it to a household identifier, an IP address. So when you have a unique identifier for any individual piece of content, which we have created one, it's called the Iris ID, it allows you to store an immense amount of information and actually access that for buyers and sellers to transact on. And that includes context, it includes brand safety, but it also includes genre and things like show and episode, which a lot of people talk about, but have never had a safe way to actually pass to buyers and sellers, because they're concerned that actually DSPs would cherry pick off that inventory. So the Iris ID is really the core technology that we're bringing to the space to actually have a unique identifier for every individual piece of content.
So this is a content identifier, not a person or a device identifier.
Correct.
Interesting. And how are you generating it? What's the workflow that's going into the process of taking the content and generating this Iris ID?
So we work directly with the content owners themselves. We get access to the files. We create a unique identifier on every individual clip, any TV show, and we actually also get the time code, so you can do this at the ad pod level.
And am I buying this from you? Am I buying it from the media seller? Who's responsible for the transaction once you guys have gone and categorized something with an Iris ID?
So this can be used in direct. It can be used in PMPs, and so Magnite, Pubmatic, and many other SSPs that are here, like Beachfront, and others that aren't, like YieldMo, are now leveraging this capability. And we're also now starting to actually see the Iris ID in the open auction bid stream, which allows for pre-bid and open auction buying.
So I can work with the DSP and build a contextual segment, and knowing who I'm looking for, knowing the type of content I'm looking for, be able to target specific shows and episodes, and even get granular enough to know the brand safety, what was being talked about, true context inside of an episode.
Which sounds great, and everyone's been interested in it for a long time, but it hasn't been at scale until this year. So over the last year, we've gone from about 1 billion ad requests enabled to now 100 billion, growing by single-digit billions per month. And the difference is compared with, say, like an NBC who might have some of this data, or Tubi might have some of this data on their own supply. If you're launching a new credit card, or you're building awareness for a soft drink, you need to have this data across supply sources. So that's really what we're focused on solving.
So, the thing that comes to mind for me the most is news. A lot of our clients are, especially very recently, concerned about buying news without the ability to layer in some sort of contextual targeting. Either remove anything political, or I remember at the start of the pandemic, a lot of our clients were looking to avoid anything related to the pandemic, bad news. It's been a challenge for us to buy news at scale because of the inability to target it. Have you guys seen a lot of success in the news side of things, being able to contextualize that?
I think this is a good point to call out too. It's the difference between like app level or channel level and actually having video level data. If you actually have video level signal, what we saw is during the peak of the pandemic, right, when there was a lot of news about mortality and death, the actual news that was unsafe was only about 6 to 7%. And the same was true through the election, right? When a lot of people didn't want to be shown alongside of Trump. There's a lot of content around, education, travel, weather on news providers, and it's when consumers are trying to actually access information and be educated about what's going on in the world. So it is great inventory and can often be leveraged at lower CPMs, which is really exciting.
Yes, I like the idea of having that unified single ID that gives me the context that I'm looking for. But what else is there when it comes to Iris ID? I mean, I know I've seen you guys have partnered with some of the brand safety vendors, some of the viewability vendors. How else are you using context as a way to extend what some of the other people in the ecosystem are doing to connected TV?
The number one driver of why we're getting adopted is relevance. So relevance drives performance, things like completion rates and click-through rates, whether it's CTV or OLV. Those are the drivers of recall and sales. So that's the number one reason why we're getting pulled into market is for targeting. But we're also now, we've yet to announce some of these partnerships, but we're just about to start announcing several verification partnerships, which are very exciting.
So what are some of those partnerships that you could talk about? What excites you the most about how to use contextual from a data standpoint?
The fact that you can then pair a unique identifier for a piece of content with identity, right? And actually start to have the same equivalent that we've had in television, right? You've always had show and episode or the equivalent of understanding what it is that you're buying. Never been possible in video or CTV. Many people have thought that they've had this data because historically you used to scan web pages, and so you thought if you're targeting based on a web page that you'd actually target relevant videos. But that actually doesn't end up being the case. The videos on the page don't match the URL.
Yeah, that's one of the ways that we had worked together when I was at Media Math, which is being able to take that outstream video unit and make sure that it's relevant, not just the ad adjacency is relevant, not just to the video, the page, which is what traditional mode and grape shot verification would tell us, but relevant to the video creative that the video ad is running adjacent to. And we saw a lot of success doing that at Media Math with you.
And the big capability that's most exciting is reach, right? You can actually reach audiences at huge scale in relevant categories. So Budweiser can reach viewers watching college football. Or a big case study that we have running right now is with Intel. It's rare that you have an investor that actually is strategic, and we're seeing the marketing team at Intel now target things like video games, tech, entertainment, and education. And it's driving performance for them over all other forms of targeting. They're actually seeing it outperform things like identity, where you might be able to target someone's affinity, but you're doing it often at a household level, and it's not ever going to be as powerful as reaching them at the exact moment that they're watching relevant content.
So are you doing that mostly programmatic? Is that direct? How are you doing that for Intel?
So the majority of the way that we're seeing this activated now is through PMPs, right? That's the way that most of CTV is transacted on, and programmatic, guarantees both capabilities are leveraging this, right? Both in direct efforts and through all the major supply platforms. And we think that's going to continue to be the case, just the nature of television and the way that industry is moving forward.
So what do we need to do? What does everybody in the room need to do in order to make this more of a reality? What if we could snap our fingers and had a magic wand, what would the buy side do? What would the sell side do?
So I think the good question to ask is why hasn't this already been here before? And there hasn't been a standard for this. Sellers, have seen kind of the way that context, the way that brand safety has worked in the past as really kind of a theft of their first-party data, and they're correct about that, right? They invest a lot of time, producing that journalism, which is text, or it is video content, and they don't want to just release that into the bid stream, have DSPs train their algorithms off of it, train it, and then kind of lose the value of the rest of their content. So when you have this on a secure identifier and you can request that, we think that that's going to bring this capability to the whole rest of the industry, and this can happen over the course of months, not years.
How are you seeing data like what you're contextualizing also feeding back into bigger upper funnel planning processes?
So I like to talk a lot about performance because those are some of the buyers that are like most interested in us. But yeah, when it comes to like awareness, driving recall, we're starting to do case studies, right? Where the same way you are actually looking for top of funnel awareness when you're launching, say, a major tax product, which I know Sam will want to talk about, or others, right? You need to get reach. We were talking about this last night. And the key component to drive that is scale.